What's going on, everybody? This is Economic News Insights, and today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin price. A lot of people are paying attention to Bitcoin lately because it keeps going up, and we're getting closer to new all-time highs, which we previously reached around December, January, February. We kind of peaked around the inauguration, around about 108, 109,000. Right now, we're sitting at around 105,000 pretty consistently, and people are getting excited. The conversation's coming back, and we're going to talk about that here in this video. So if you guys are excited about Bitcoin, smash up the likes as we get closer to $105,000 Bitcoin headed towards the new all-time high. So how high can Bitcoin price go? That's what a lot of people want to know. This conversation comes up quite consistently, and that's what we're going to talk about. So in the short term, with everything that's taken into consideration right now, where they say the bull run is going to get a second wind headed into late May, June. Obviously, we don't know for a fact. This is not professional financial advice. Always do your own research, but we are sharing analysis and opinions about where we think the market could be headed. Right now, the current circulating supply of Bitcoin is about 19.5 million coins in circulation. So there is a scarcity. If you compare that to gold, which is considered the store of value that most people kind of go to when the markets get topsy-turvy, when interest rates go up, when inflation happens, people look to store their value. Now, here's the thing about gold. Number one is gold doesn't have scarcity. Someone could start mining gold very efficiently and flood the market with new gold, which would drive down the price. Bitcoin has a fixed supply, 21 million, 19.5 million already mined. All right, so that's something very important to keep in mind. Another thing that Bitcoin has that gold doesn't have is ease of storage. If I wanted to travel a lot and I wanted to buy a bunch of gold, storage of gold is not very easy. For example, if someone wanted to, in a bug out situation, travel and get out of Dodge, wherever they're at, because of whatever turmoil, say someone's living in the United States, they want to bug out down in New Zealand. If they wanted to move all of their gold safely, because they'd have to get it out of a safe, put it on the Learjet, and then get out of town, right? Well, with Bitcoin, you just eject your disk, put it in your pocket, and you're gone. You get it? So the storage for Bitcoin is much easier than any sort of metal, physical asset. The benefit of gold and silver is you actually have something tangible that you can look at, a shiny object. Especially for older people, that's very important. But for young people who've been using the internet all their life, they see the value in Bitcoin tenfold over gold. They don't even want anything to do with that old technology of gold and silver. It's kind of like people who like look at a dollar bill and they're like, oh, this has great value. People are like, yeah, that's cute and cool, but have you ever used a credit card? Have you ever used Apple Pay? So things are definitely going towards the internet, and that kind of makes people excited. And then they compare it against gold, and you look at the gold market cap, which is where it's at right now, about 13.5 trillion. If gold market cap 13.5 trillion was given to Bitcoin market cap with the 19.5 million coins already mined, that would give a price to Bitcoin of $692,000. That would put a 6x on Bitcoin. Now, people say with inflation and everything coming, global markets, that you can even anticipate gold price to continue to go up. So all you have to do is get Bitcoin to be paired up with the gold market cap, and that's when you have a $692,000 Bitcoin. How soon that's going to happen, we don't know. I mean, we're still kind of hanging out on the sidelines, waiting to see what's going to happen. But one thing that's important is we just had the April 19th, 2024 halving, and the next halving is going to be 4 years from then. So around April 2028. Now, the block reward before the halving was 6.25 BTC every time the block was successfully completed. And then after the halving, it went down to 3.25. So it just kind of halves every so often, right? So it'll go from half of 3.125, which is about 1.16 thereabouts, or 1.6. And what ends up happening is when that supply becomes more scarce, the bull cycle lasts about 12 to 18 months afterwards. Well, we're still within that window of 12 to 18 months, because 1 year ago was April. So they say around typically October is when we start to see like the final last leg up. But what a lot of people are saying is institutions are coming in way more frequently than before. So this halving cycle is going to be different. And then what you ended up having before that was you had, or actually what's going on now, states, countries, sovereign wealth funds, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, all talking about getting into Bitcoin. And so when that flood comes in, everyone's going to start FOMOing in. And when the FOMO starts happening, what happens to the price? That's when they say those omni candles start popping off, where you just get these massive legs up. Someone was saying, what we've seen before with $10,000 price increases in the past, those are going to be dwarfed possibly by what's coming. Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy has given a price prediction or projection forecast for Bitcoin around $13 million per coin. So people think, oh, well, what if I'm late? Well, if the price is $100,000 and it goes to 13 million, are you really late? I mean, people always look at other altcoins and they're like, oh, I don't want to invest in Bitcoin because I'm investing in, you know, altcoins like Solana or Ethereum. Now, I'm not saying that Ethereum or Solana aren't good investments, but they always think that Bitcoin's overpriced. You can actually buy a small portion of Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin for $105,000. You can get like 0.01 Bitcoin, zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. I recently bought zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. So it's totally possible. Thank you to everyone who's smashing up the likes as we continue to get this video out there. But the most important thing you need to know about Bitcoin is it's scarce and it's technologically superior to gold in the fact that it's much easier to hold it and have custody of it. So one thing that we have coming up for a bullish case here in the short term is the ETF inflows. We have the de-dollarization that's taking place. People are kind of getting out of the dollar and looking for new modern technologies that move a little bit more fast, getting away from Swift, getting into something a little bit more efficient. And then you have some models like stock to flow that support this range of around 200,000 to 500,000 in the short term. So that's what we could be looking at in the short term, possibly in a bullish case. In a bearish case, the low side to Bitcoin, just because you have to put this in there, you have to take into consideration where's the low for Bitcoin. And I would say anything below 70,000 could get really concerning, and then you'd be in the $30,000 to $60,000 range. But I would say we've tested and we've really built a line of support around that $70,000 mark. So on a low side, you could see us down 70,000 at some point after everything cools off. But in the short term, bullish case 200,000 to 500,000, based on everything with all the institutions coming in, the ETFs. As people start to FOMO in, when the price starts going up, that's what always happens. FOMO sets in. The boomers start trying to jump in, and they have more access to getting into Bitcoin than they ever did before. Thanks to everyone smashing up the likes as we continue to get this new channel pumping. So we've got a lot of new people coming in. It's a new channel. I mean, it's going to be a big channel. It's just, when it's a baby channel, you're one of the first ones to support it and help get it off the ground. And so I know you guys out there coming in from other channels. I really appreciate you guys coming over to hang out. And I love to hear from everybody as you guys, share your opinions about where you think Bitcoin's going. And that's important because as a community, we can, become a mastermind community, right? Where we share ideas. And I always go towards that. What's the price of gold market cap? And then I say, what if Bitcoin has that market cap? That's where we get that $650,000 per coin, $690,000 per coin assessment, is just saying that, hey, once Bitcoin reaches digital gold, which everyone says is coming, and literally when I say everyone, I'm talking about people who have been invested in crypto, and this is why they get into it. That's why they call it digital gold. I'm not talking about the haters. It's funny because Dave Ramsey, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Dave Ramsey. Of course, you probably have, but he gives financial advice. He used to hate Bitcoin. Now he's like telling everyone get Bitcoin. Like you can Google old videos of Dave Ramsey saying anyone who buys Bitcoin is a complete total idiot. Now he's telling his viewers to buy Bitcoin. Even Trump in 2016, he didn't like Bitcoin. Now look at him. He's got the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. He just signed a bunch of digital asset executive orders and all that stuff. Yeah, BlackRock, who with Larry Fink, who once didn't like Bitcoin, said negative things about Bitcoin. Now they have BlackRock's like going all in, not all in, but going in pretty heavy with their ETFs. So you have this like changing of the mindset going towards digital assets. They definitely have always said they like blockchain, but they haven't always said that they like Bitcoin, and now that's changing. And I was even watching some people here recently. They were saying that the real awesome coin in the market right now is Ethereum. Raoul Paul, he was saying that he thinks that everything digital is going to be built on top of Ethereum. Now, the things that hold back Ethereum for me, it's slow, it's expensive compared to say Solana. But with the upgrades that Vitalik's bringing in, thanks to everyone who's pumping up the likes. I see some people out there, and yeah, I want to do more live streams over here and talk about the things that you guys are interested in with the finance. The reason this channel kind of came about was because I know that the resource of finance is really important to be able to do things in life. So I'm passionate about finance. I know some of you are as well, and a lot of people really are into finance, and they see the value in talking about and understanding economics, right? Shaheen says, do you think Bitcoin cycle will be repeated in the future, or will it become more like slower but steady growth? Wow. I mean, the question is that's always been the question. And it's kind of like what they always say, what inning are we in? Some people have said we're in the first inning. It seems like we've always been in the first, second, or third inning. I have yet to hear anyone even recently say we're in the third or fourth or fifth inning. And so it just depends on where you think we're at in the innings. There's 9 innings in a baseball game. So most people still say we're at around like the second or third inning, which would mean, yeah, we still have like, the middle of the game to play. We still have the seventh inning stretch before we even get to, the top of the ninth. What happens when we get to the top of the ninth is you've got full scale mainstream adoption, and it's kind of regular. It's kind of like a normalized investment opportunity. Thank you all the people smashing up the likes. I can see you guys out there. Thank you, Shaheen, for the great question. So to be more clear, I think it's going to get more steady growth. I mean, as the market cap grows, we're already at 3 trillion. It's soon enough. I think the largest market cap out there right now is Saudi Aramco. So that's around 6 trillion. I think, doubling in price, going to around $212,000 Bitcoin would probably put us around the Saudi Aramco, which would make it the largest asset in the world. Actually, no, we're at a $2 trillion market cap right now. So we haven't quite reached 3 trillion. 2 trillion is around the same market valuation as I think Google. So Bitcoin's got the same market value as Google. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that steady growth will be something there, but a lot of people are anticipating booms like market cycles that we haven't seen before, things that are going to be kind of like explosive growth. They call it the God candle or the Omni candle. This candle is something like when you're looking at a chart, you can see the price goes up. It's going to look like a massive pump. That's what they call the big candle, the Omni candle. And they say like the Omni candle would happen, like say when Saudi Arabia jumps in quite aggressively, Qatar jumps in quite aggressively. As of right now, if you look at the top Bitcoin holders, I mean, it changes because BlackRock just bought more. How much Bitcoin does BlackRock hold? How much, because it always changes. How much Bitcoin does BlackRock own? I mean, MicroStrategy, how much do they own? But it looks like they hold about 573,000 Bitcoin. As you guys know, BlackRock is the largest asset manager in the world. They hold trillions of dollars in assets. They're the largest in the world. I think number 2 would be like Vanguard, but BlackRock just recently bought more. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, how much does Vanguard hold? Let's see how much Vanguard owns. Vanguard doesn't quite say. But these are the things you got to ask because MicroStrategy obviously holds around 500,000 something. There's other companies trying to copy MicroStrategy like Marathon Digital Holdings. You have Galaxy Digital Holdings. Tesla holds Bitcoin. Coinbase holds Bitcoin. Binance holds Bitcoin. There's a lot of companies out there, and we're just now stepping into the arena where countries are going to start buying Bitcoin. We saw states like Arizona was getting ready to buy Bitcoin. Hey, thank you to the new subscribers coming in. And we also got some likes coming in. So thank you, everyone. Now, out there in the audience, what do you guys think the price of Bitcoin is going to be? I mean, we've already said on this channel, we think Bitcoin at some point in time in the next 5 years reaches the same market capitalization as gold. Some people say it's going to happen faster than we expect. Other people say it's going to take longer than we expect. It just depends on what camp you belong to. But that would put Bitcoin in around $680,000 per coin if and when that does happen. Nothing's set in stone, but there are bears out there. There are people you'll talk to. Bitcoin has always had bears. I mean, if you would have bought Bitcoin in 2015 for $200, you would have heard the bears. If you would have listened to the bears, you would have missed out. I mean, one of the things my grandpa used to tell me is like when I told him I was investing in Bitcoin and told him to buy Bitcoin, he would always say to me, he's like, yeah, when you buy it, can you actually trade it back into dollars? And I would say, yeah, I can. And he'd say, show me. And then I did it. And he was like, okay, wow. Okay. You really can. So what he was worried about was if you put your money in, can you get it out? And then when I showed him that was kind of when it was like, all right, maybe he's not just some young kid who's just, wishing on a shooting star. Shaheen says, depends on news coming from Trump administration. Yeah, news from the government is huge right now. I think that's a big driving factor, but it would be nice for the United States to lead it, but not be the only ones pushing the ball forward. Europe still has a very negative stance on Bitcoin. Other countries, I haven't really heard Canada jump in. Every once in a while you hear positive news coming from China, and then you hear less positive news from China. So it'll be interesting to see. But anyways, thanks to everyone for watching, and we will see you on the next one.